Uh, Hello, this is Shankar, and I'm making a video after a very long time. And this, I would like to start a series where I take astrological charts and then explain, why such and such thing can happen, and also about the charts. So let's. This is the horoscope of a person, exact horoscope of a person, young person who died at a very early age, below 30s. He lost his mother, and he was into a number of relationships which were like the web series you see today, those kinds of relationships. Somebody who was not within his caste, and also he died because of drugs and drugs abuse. He was put into, back into places where, they take care of drugs. So, but each time he came out, he was back to drugs, and ultimately he died a very untimely death, early death. Now, here you would see that people would say Saturn, exalted in the eighth house, will protect his destiny, will protect his longevity, is protected. But that, in my experience, is never the case, because the eighth house in the Kalpurush is ruled by Mangal. So this becomes a house of both Mangal and Shani. And then you would see, I would always say that Saturn in eighth house will always damage the second house, whatever the case is. Just try it. It's my research that any planet in the eighth house will damage the second house. It will not do good for this, not so much of the second house, but it will not do good for the planets which are in the second house. In this case, there are no planets in the second house, but second house is aspected, and it is the debilitation house of Saturn, which is very important. And vice versa, you will see that in cases where Saturn is debilitated, but it in Lagna and it aspects the seventh house, or it is in fourth house, especially 10th house, it may not give the results of where it is debilitated, but it will give the results of where it is exalted. So, but in this case, Saturn exalted has not given its results because of it being in the eighth house. This is just a chart. It gives a kind of a thing, and I want to also get away people from the myth that Saturn in eighth house will protect his life and give a very long life. It does not happen that way. It is on the contrary. It gives a lot of problems. It gives a lot of difficulties. It gives a lot of health issues, so on and so forth. And here, of course, you see Venus and Mars, which is the fifth house. This is the standard combination which nobody needs to explain. Mars in debilitation here is not bad. I mean, because this becomes the house of Sun, so it's not bad. But Venus is enemy to Sun. In the Kalpurush, it's the fifth house. So you take Cancer as well as it's also the fifth house. So Venus will never give good results. I've seen Sun with Venus never also gives good results, and that is why most of the marriages are not very good. So I mean that is a different combination, different topic altogether. And here you would see Rahu in the third house, which gives a bold temperament to a person. Now you would say Jupiter is also in the ninth house. It aspects the Lagna. It aspects third house. It aspects the fifth house, which is Venus and Mars. So why it has not protected the native? It is also the Lord of Lagna. It is also the Lord of 10th house. But remember that Jupiter, when it is in ninth house, it is not talking too much about the native. It is actually talking about the father. So the father here with Ketu was not very well placed, that he would slowly rise in life, but he would be a nice person. So it gives more an idea of the father. And even in the father's case, then Mars gets, the deposit of Mars is Venus. So obviously he would also had, relationships and issues with the wife. So Jupiter in ninth, never get into this thought. The Jupiter in ninth, it will protect everything. It is Jupiter in the ninth will protect the father. Nevertheless, it is also aspected by Rahu, and whenever Jupiter is with Rahu and gets into the Rahu Ketu axis, I consider it to be extremely bad. Jupiter Rahu spoils everything. Rahu is like a planet which can cause sudden death and sudden things. And then he also has Moon in the 10th house. Moon is only good in houses like in its own friendly houses, which is the first house, the second house, the fourth house, the fifth house, and that's it. And here in Kalpurush, this becomes the 10th house, and Moon is not very good to Saturn. So gave him a birth in a good family, but It's not a good this thing. His abuse to substance is because of, you would see, retrograde Venus with Mars place ninth to Jupiter Ketu. So whenever fifth and ninth is a very important relationship one should see, and sixth and eighth is a very important relationship one could see. Here you would see Rahu is in eighth to Saturn. Now that is very bad. Now, Moon is in 8th to Mars. That is again not very good. So, you always see the 6th 8th relationship, which creates tussle, and the 5th and ninth relationship, which are good, and the 1, 7, 4, 10, when the planets are there, that they create, kind of a struggle, खींचातानी करते हैं. So, this is a simple way of looking, a snapshot way to understand what the planets are going to give you. Then, of course, you apply your Dasha, Bhukti, you apply the D charts, you apply the Ashtagvarg, what is the kind of Ashtagvarg, you apply the current transit, transit with respect to the transit when the person was born. I also apply the Nadi astrology system, which is akin to me, which is in a different way. And also then see the other dashas also which are there, and also take account of the Char dasha, and then you come to a clear indication of what could a planet hold in its self to give the good and bad results. So that's how we see astrology. But one thing I want to tell you is that never get into snapshot rules like Saturn in eighth is going to be very good and Jupiter in ninth is going to be very good. So this is my view, and try it out. See Saturn how it behaves in eighth house, especially when it is in with eighth Rahu, or it is aspected by Rahu, or is it with Rahu. So try this out. So you will get an idea of how things would happen. Mars and Venus, other things I need not explain much. Why he got into drug abuse is also very clear because of retrograde Mercury with Sun Mercury there. And I do consider the aspect of Rahu as 5th, 7th, ninth, and I find it to be very good to give astrological results. So this was it about this horoscope. I mean, he's no more there. God bless him. But just to give an example of a person who's spoiled, who was born in a good family, but spoiled his entire life. He lost his mother at a very early age when he was, like very small, 2, 3 years. He lost his mother. Now you would say, why did he lose his mother? But there is a very clarity that he will lose his mother. I mean, both from our simple system of astrology, Lord of Fourth has gone in sixth, is retrograde, it is with Sun, and but Moon is well placed. So you would say the Karak of Moon, but Moon in 10th will not good result for the for issues like the mother. It may be good for profession. So no planet is good or bad. Every planet has some good aspects and some bad aspects. But here I was drawing your attention only to Saturn in eighth, which is a misnomer. One should see a lot of things before coming to the conclusion. So thanks a lot. Thanks for hearing me out. You can go to me and connectingminds@gmail.com. You can write below. You can read my books, which are published by Sagar Publication. Thank you.